everyone. Welcome to Living Linkie Style. My name is Linkie Marais, and it is that time of the season where families get together and you're so thankful for all the great things in your life. And some people get stressed out about it, but it's Thanksgiving. And I'm going to show you how you can make your Thanksgiving stressless this year by just planning a little bit ahead. And you know, it's only my husband and I. We don't have any kids. My family is far away. So I'm going to show you something that is great for two people or even more if you pick up some more turkey along the way. And that's going to make your turkey this year, your turkey day this year, perfect. I'm from South Africa original, so we do not celebrate Thanksgiving until I came here. And I have so many great things to be thankful for. And one of them are turkey wings. You know, I'm from the South, and I'm going to show you how to spice up a little things from the South, a few casseroles. We are going to do a green bean casserole, Linkie style, with a little bit of flair. And I'm also going to show you something that the Southerners die for, and it's my sweet potato casserole. And instead of cooking a big turkey, like I said, it's only my husband and I, we are going to cook the turkey wings. I am a dark meat person myself, and so I love me some wings. So let's get started. I am going to go ahead and crank my stovetop on high, and I'm going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil. And what we're basically going to do is we're going to sear off the turkey wings, and forgive me if I call them turkey legs, but these things are huge. Look at that. That is a big wing. So what we're going to do is we're going to sear them off with a little bit of spices, and then we're going to pop it in the oven and let it finish off that way. Now, I will say, anytime you're preparing turkey or any poultry, make sure that you sanitize, make sure that you stay clean, that you keep your boards clean so that you don't cross-contaminate. So let's get started without any ado. What I'm going to do is where's my towel? Just to get it nice and moist, I'm going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil, and I can actually do this back in the pan. There we go. These birds are huge. I remember my first year in America, we were invited to friends of ours for Thanksgiving. And what an experience to get together. So much food. You eat, it's food for days. And, but it was so much fun. All right. So we're going to sprinkle some salt. And I like to do things that's not quite original. This year, I think I'm actually going to smoke a turkey on my big green egg. But sometimes we fry it. It's very nice and moist. And like I said, I am a dark meat kind of girl. I love the dark meat, and I love things that's not ordinary. Okay, so a little salt. And you can be generous. Golly, these things are huge. All right, we're going to set that aside. And since this is going on the turkey, I'm not going to worry about switching up my boards. But we are going to grab a little bit of rosemary. Rosemary is one of my favorite herbs for this time of the year. It's so nice and earthy. And it's so great because you can grow it on your balcony or in your backyard. And it just smells delicious. All righty. So a little bit of rosemary. Now that I'm chunking all the stems back there, something that we did not have in South Africa is garbage disposal. And I must say, I love mine. Okay, so we're just going to roughly chop the rosemary. Now, something else that I like to do is to do barbecue turkey wings. My husband simply loves that because he loves barbecue. So you don't have to stick with something like this. You can change it up and do a little bit of barbecue spice. Not barbecue spice, barbecue sauce. What am I thinking? All right, here we go. So a little bit, let me put this back up here. A little bit of rosemary. And you will see when you sear this, it's just beautiful. And the reason we're going to sear it is to get the skin nice and crispy, and then we will finish it off in the oven. And another reason I like to cook my turkey, not the full whole turkey, is because it's so much faster. You don't have to brine, you don't have to wait. It's perfect. give that a quick rinse. And then comes the most important part that you can't ever forget, a little bit of black pepper. Flip this around. And then these babies are ready to go in the pan. So what you want to do when you start this, you want to get your pan really, really nice and hot. Because if it's not hot, then it's not going to get that beautiful sear that you want. So, and you're going to put these, I usually put them down like this with the wang part. And that's what you want to hear. You want to hear that sear. And let me see if I can get both of these in here. Alrighty, so we've got our turkey in, and that's just going to hang out for a little bit. I wanted to get that really nice and crisp skin, and I'll actually get rid of this because the turkey was on there. And then we will move on to our casseroles. Now, I know with green bean casseroles, it's very, if you're all about traditions and everything, that's great, and I love the traditional recipes. But I always like to spice it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my green beans. And instead of using cream of mushroom soup, I'm going to use some onion soup. And I'm going to use my own mushrooms, real chopped up mushrooms. And just to add a little bit of zing to it, I'm going to add some sun-dried tomatoes and some onions and some garlic. And then we're going to top all of that off with nice and crunchy pretzels. Now, pretzels are so big right now. Everywhere you go through drive-thrus, you see pretzel buns and things like that. So why not spice up your turkey day and do something out of the box? So when I cut my onion, what I usually do is I grab it like this, slice down. And there's many ways of doing this. Some people first chop down and then they slice inwards, but to me it's easier this way. Then you do your down slices. Watch your fingers. And you just want to kind of roughly chop this. So then I usually spray my pan just a little bit. I am a firm believer in spraying everything because you don't want to spend all of that time making a beautiful casserole and then it sticks at the bottom. And what I do is I discard the last part of my onion. Now some people use it and they chop it up, but I learned in culinary school that the last part of the onion is slightly better, so I discard it. And before I go on, let me first check on the wings. Yes, that's what you want. You want that nice brown, but we're going to keep them a little bit longer. Okay, and I wish I could send you all these nice aromas to your television. That's the one thing that tortures me all the time from watching television shows or cooking shows is you can't smell it. Okay, so we've got our onion in there. We just need half an onion. And then I am another firm believer in some garlic. Keeps the devil away. So we're going to chop up 2 garlic cloves. And as you notice, I'm doing it the chefy way, getting it out of the skins by just banging it with your knife. But a little tip that my grandmother gave me before, and I think I have told you guys this before, if you soak your garlic cloves, if you break them apart and you soak it in water overnight, then the next day, those little skins just rub right off. Then you can pop all of that in a jar with some olive oil, and you can just break it out whenever you need some. All right, we're going to check on our turkeys. And I'm actually going to go ahead and flip them. So these are looking beautiful. Flip that down. Now, at this point, what you want to do is you want to break out some wine. Now, you guys know me. I love my wine, and I like to cook with it as well. So I always use a type of wine that you will drink to. Make sure you don't buy any wine that you won't drink because it is going to affect the flavor of your food. Now I'm using a Pinot Noir, and what I'm going to do, turn that down for a second, I'm going to just pour about a cup of that wine, and we're going to let that sit for just a second, and then we're going to finish it in the oven. So back to the garlic. We have our garlic, and then we're going to add our green beans. Where is my can opener? Now, my mother would probably kill me if she knows I'm using green beans from a can, but I'm not going to show her. I'm going to do this before they ever come over. But you can cook your own green beans. It's easier to buy it from the can. So what you want to do is you want to drain your green beans. There we go. And we're just going to pop that into the concoction. And I think 2 should be enough. And then I usually just bring it up. Oh, and your sun-dried tomatoes, you want to just give it a rough chop, just to break it up in little pieces. I usually buy the sun-dried tomatoes that comes already julienned, but I do like them a little bit smaller. Let's add a little bit more. There's something therapeutic about cutting. I love slicing things. I think it's a chefy thing. All right, so our sun-dried tomatoes, and I'm going to turn my stove back down to medium. And I usually just give this a little toss with my hands, just to get all the ingredients nicely incorporated. Okay, so then comes our mushrooms. And I love to use baby portobello mushrooms. And what I usually do is I just kind of roughly wipe them down, because sometimes if you wash it, they become soggy. So I just kind of wipe the dirt away. And then we're going to give this a little rough chop. And this is one of those things where it just gives me so much gratification to slice into the mushroom. Maybe it's a little disturbing, but I don't care. It's just so much fun. Okay. And you're just going to roughly chop this. That's just so much fun. Now, the great thing about these casseroles, and the reason I said that your Thanksgiving this year should be stress-free, is because you can pre-make all of this, even the sweet potato casserole, minus the topping. So what you do is you prepare it just the way I'm preparing right now, but then you can either part cook it or you can fully cook it, and then the day of Thanksgiving you just warm it back up. There we go. Let's add these mushrooms. You just warm it back up, and about 15 minutes before it's done being warmed up, you can actually just top it off. Okay, so we've got that, and then comes our onion soup. Okay, and before I do this, let me check on the turkey. Oh, these aromas are just beautiful. They are very nice and earthy with the rosemary and the wine. It's just unbelievable. So I'm going to take this, and just with pan and all, I'm going to pop it in the oven. And my oven is set on 400. You can also do this on 350 if you're baking anything else. Okay, so our cream of onion soup. Now, if you want, you can use any other soup. If you want to use if you still want to use the mushroom soup, you can. I like the onion soup. And you just kind of want to mix this up a little bit. And I have stuff flying everywhere, as always. Oh, there we go. That onion doesn't want to be part of the party. And then if you see this slightly thick, you can add just about a few tablespoons of water. There we go. I usually just use the can. So much easier. All right. There we go. And then this is going to be topped with none other than the beautiful pretzel. So I usually just kind of spread it out a little bit. And I usually bake it for just a little bit before I top it with the pretzel. So I'm going to pop this in my oven, 400, and let that bake for about 15 minutes. I'll set my beeper. So now we can move on to the sweet potato casserole. I simply love sweet potatoes. It's this time of the year where there are so many pumpkins and squash and everything, but I just love something about the sweet potato that it just feels like I'm doing my body so much good when I do it. And you know, in the South, everything is fried, or it's crunchy, or it's sweet, or it's caramelized, or pecans or something. And that is one of the dear things that I carried with me here to Massachusetts, is my sweet potato casserole. So what I've done is I have actually boiled already some sweet potatoes, and this is 4 sweet potatoes. And then I want to turn this off. I was wondering why that's on. Okay. So we want to get our masher and just mash this. This is actually a very good workout. And then, of course, you guys know me by now. I cannot be Linkie without adding some butter. So we are going to add about, maybe that much. It'll melt, okay? Don't worry. And it's Thanksgiving. You're supposed to be rolling in the fat and the grease and the food. All right. So our butter, and the butter just helps loosen it up a little bit too. So I just roughly do mash it. And then got this dirty. Then I add a few tablespoons of brown sugar. Now, I simply love my brown sugar. It just gives it a caramel flavor that you can't beat. So we're going to add a few tablespoons. But now remember, you don't want to get this too sweet, because we are going to top it with pecans, more brown sugar, and marshmallows. Who says you can't have marshmallows on your sweet potato casseroles? All right. And then we're also going to add a little bit of cinnamon, or a lot, depending on if you like cinnamon, and a little bit of nutmeg. And it smells delicious. Whoops. And the most important thing while you're doing all of this is to taste as you go. That's the one thing when I tried out for Food Network Star, my husband said, please make sure you taste it, because sometimes you forget just one ingredient, or salt, or sugar, and it just ruins your dish. Okay, so I am going to give this a little bit of a taste before it goes in. You can do with a little bit more sugar. A little bit more sugar, and a little more butter. Don't mind if I do. So you're probably adding about a half a stick of butter. There we go. Which is not too bad, because this is almost like dessert. All right, mash that right back up. And then once you have it all mashed up, then you're going to spray your casserole dish. And we're going to dump all of that right into that. Get my spoon. And, ooh, this is heavy. I can't get it. There you go. You may want to start spooning it out. There we go. Look at that. That's beautiful already. And the great thing about doing all these things together is it's such vibrant colors. You've got the green beans, you've got the red sun-dried tomatoes, and now you've got some orange. And you just kind of want to press this down a little bit. Like that. Get that out of the way. And then comes the fun part. Then you're going to sprinkle all of that with some brown sugar. And the brown sugar is going to get a really nice and crunchy crust. Say that 5 times. A really nice crunchy and caramel top to it. There we go. And you can be generous with this because it's going to basically, almost like a creme brulee, it's going to create that beautiful layer on top. So our brown sugar, and then our pecans. I love pecans, or pecans, however you want to say it. And you can chop this finer if you want, but I kind of like it rustic. And we're going to pop this in the oven. We're not going to add the marshmallows yet. We're going to pop this in the oven for probably about 20 to 25 minutes. And since that's going, we can check on our turkey. Make sure you get a mitt. You know, sometimes one of the funniest stories is no matter how many times I put one of these pans in the oven, I always forget that it's hot. So make sure you grab an oven mitt. And I'm just going to bring this right here. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to check your turkey with a thermometer. Now there's lots of different thermometers out there. I don't know if I have one of the button ones in here, but there's those little button thermometers that you can just pick up at any kind of grocery store or craft store or whatever. I like the digital thermometer, and I actually, you guys are going, okay, Linkie, here we go, big green egg again. But I got this big green egg thermometer this past weekend, and it's absolutely fantastic because it gives you a immediate reading. And the great thing about it is it has all of the internal temperatures that you're supposed to have on your thermometer. So if you can't remember what something has to be cooked until, then you just have your little cheat sheet ready to go. So what you want to do, and I have to remember that this pan is hot, what you want to do is you want to insert it to the thickest part of your leg. So I usually grab the little, whatever this part is, what is that, the shoulder? I don't know. But that's probably good. So you want to stick it until you reach the bone and then pull back just a little bit so that you're not on the bone. And this one right here, I'll flip it so the camera can see. No, I can't see. It's at about 111. Now you want to cook your turkey. I'll just do it another time right there. That's actually at 118. That's also a thick part of the leg. You want to cook any of your poultry, you want to cook it to 165. That's a safe temperature to cook it to. So we're going to pop this in, and then we're going to go ahead and pull out our green bean casserole, which at this point, and this beeper is going to go off in a second, so I'll turn that off. So at this point, if you want to make your casseroles ahead of time and freeze them, this is a good place to stop. Just wrap it in foil, wrap it in saran wrap, maybe double it, or if you have aluminum pans that you have it in, go ahead and do it like that. Because then when you heat it up, you don't overcook it. The last thing you want is overcooked. But at this point, if you're doing it right away, then this is the part where you're going to start doing your little pretzels. These are just delicious. I love pretzels. Now, if you want, something you can do is you can, ahead of time, you can break your pretzels into little pieces, add about 1 tablespoon of melted butter, and then add a hint of cayenne to that. That's going to give it just that little spice that it needs. But if you don't want any of the heat, then you can just use the regular pretzels that's already salted. This is so much fun. It's another one of those therapeutic things. And you can be generous with this. And it's going to add a beautiful crust. I'll use it. Why not? And then back in the oven it goes. Okay, so we are going to pull out the sweet potato casserole at this time, and we're going to top it with marshmallows. And once again, it's one of those things where you can be generous. I love to top it with marshmallows because it almost gives me a s'more type of a feeling. You know, when you're making s'mores at a campfire or in your backyard, it just gives that comforting feeling. And that's what you want to do. We'll use all of these. And then we're going to pop that back in the oven for about 10 minutes. So you see now that your Thanksgiving does not have to be stressful this year. So let's check on our goose. Oh my goodness, that smells delicious and it looks beautiful. And we're going to pull out our green bean casserole, which is nice and bubbly. Once it starts bubbly, that's the great part. And the pretzels are nice and crispy. And our little s'more-like sweet potato casserole is absolutely beautiful. Now, you can brown this a little bit more if you want, but I like my marshmallows nice and gooey. All right, we'll turn this out. And I'll plate this up. And so in this case, what's going to happen is probably my husband will have one leg and I'll have the other. And look how beautiful that is on the plate. We'll move that over just a little bit. Actually, we'll just do it like that. Now, the great thing about, oh, that's hot. See, I told you, I always forget about it being hot. So the great thing about having the red wine in there is if you want, at this point, you can make a really nice gravy that goes on the turkey. And it has all of those flavors of the rosemary and the turkey that's been sitting in it, so it's absolutely delicious. And there we go. Get that out of the way. So I hope that you guys this year will not stress about Thanksgiving and just enjoy the company of your family and friends and be thankful for all the great food we can have in America. These recipes will be on my website soon, livinglinkie.com. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter, so follow me and keep up with me and see where my next adventure is going to lead. Hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving.